I didn't realize that I could even do this. I didn't realize that there were pathways for me to make an impact on my community that I live in. There's nothing more fulfilling than brewing beer and sharing those experiences. I've kind of always been into stories. I've always been into storytelling. There is so much rich history in beer. From the very beginning, we always kind of leaned into history as an inspiration for what we were doing. In 2013, when we started, there were actually no breweries in St. Petersburg. And while the industry grew, it was kind of obvious that the diversity wasn't growing at the same rate. We decided on naming our brewery Green Bench Brewing Company, and it provided us an opportunity to tell a deep story about this city. In the early 1900s here in St. Petersburg, at one point there were over 3,000 green benches adorning downtown St. Pete. We marketed ourselves as the city of the green benches. And the history that you mostly hear on the surface is just as bright as the sunshine outside. The full story here, though, is because this was in the early 1900s, it was a time of segregation. It was an unwritten rule that African Americans couldn't sit on those green benches. I don't know why anybody's surprised by that. I'm extremely fascinated in people. I'm extremely fascinated in people's experiences. And I think for me, I was pulled in several different directions. And it took me a while to feel comfortable with who I was and feel okay with the sort of identity that I had for myself. I'm biracial. My mother's black, my father's white. They're both from Memphis, Tennessee, which is where I was born and raised. Oftentimes had a little bit of an identity crisis, I think, growing up because of that. For black people, sometimes I wasn't black enough, and for white people, I was definitely black enough. I would be nothing without my family. They're my world. My mom was a single mother, and we grew up in a one-bedroom apartment. We shared a room with my grandma. Like, me, my sisters, and my brother slept in this bunk bed, and my grandma slept next to us. And my grandmother kind of raised us because my mom was working 2-3 jobs, so I rarely saw her. She would sleep on the couch, and she sacrificed so much for us to just be who we are now. And when I was 9, they made the decision to send me to Florida. But it ended up being the best decision they made for me. It provided me a lot of opportunities, and to me, that's the foundation of who I am. In the mid-90s, my father was a home brewer. So I remember I was like, my dad used to home brew and he liked it. So I started researching. I realized real quick that I would die not knowing everything about beer. And that was exciting because I get to learn every day. We make all kinds of styles of beer here. The list kind of goes on. We typically make a lot of IPAs, a lot of lager, a lot of mixed culture beer, and saison, farmhouse ale, fermentation forward stuff. And our tap list is designed to ease into the style and not necessarily force it down anybody's glass. But at the end of the day, the most important thing is what the beer tastes like. There's a lot of science involved. So I can control mouthfeel, body, and sweetness in the process of what temperature I rest these at. And then there's also a ton of engineering. And sometimes us building it because no one else has before. Candyline does about 6,000 cans an hour. And there is a lot of creativity. The last thing that really got me into beer is people. In the future, I see breweries to foster community growth. Once people realize how much of an asset these breweries can be to their neighborhoods, they're gonna use them. There's an estimated 7,000 children in Pinellas County alone that don't have a bed to sleep on every night. And so I decided to start the Culture Chronicles, where we brew a collaboration and money from every single can and every pint that we sell goes directly to building beds. And actually what struck me on the last home, it was 5 blocks away from my house. It was the moment I realized we're accomplishing what I set out to do, which was do anything that we could for the people that literally live down the street from us. That's the only way we're gonna tell history correctly, is if we actually tell everyone's experience, the good, the bad, and the ugly. We can see how much room to grow we still have. There's kind of a soft haze that you carry with you where you go. For me, it's kind of an inspiring history. It's a history of redemption. We can make sure that our future and our tomorrow is way brighter. While at one point, these green benches were not for everybody, now they can be.